Nandita, you've come here to the Cannes Film Festival with Manto. Now, he was somebody who really wrote for freedom of speech. His stories, his discourse really was about that. And this is something which is difficult today, everywhere in the world, isn't it?
But therefore much needed as well. So yes, I mean, I think that is something that sort of deeply resonates with me as well, and especially in today's times where many people are self-censoring themselves. There are attacks on various works of art. Freedom of expression is under some amount of threat, and so I think Manto is extremely relevant. And also, even if you're not under threat, the idea of free-spiritedness, the idea of wanting to tell the truth, to be more honest, just even for your own self. I think it kind of speaks to that spirit, and hopefully I'll be able to capture that.
Also, the Cannes Film Festival is a very commercial space. You have to come here and...
Well, it's both. I think it's a very author space, as they call it, like in the sense directors and films and works of art are celebrated. It's a mix of both. It's all red carpet and glitz and all of that, and you will also find a lot of young students and young filmmakers, film lovers queuing up for hours. So it's what you take from it. So you have to do a bit of that red carpet thing, but if it is just a means to an end, then you're not wedded to it. It's just something that you have to do it, to get some attention to your film. But otherwise, it is a great platform where you meet a lot of interesting minds. You see some amazing films. I haven't been able to see any today. This evening I'm seeing my first film here. So I think it's a wonderful platform. In India, either we put a festival on a pedestal and think that's the end all be all, or we dumb it down saying, oh, it's just a festival and you're making such a big deal. But it's neither. It's just yet another space where people who love cinema, who are interested in films, come together. And how can that be bad?
Also, it's a very broad spectrum. I mean, you have the big banner stuff happening here, also smaller films, right?
Yes.
Tell us a little bit more about Manto and what you're saying to people over here when you present the film.
So we are in the midst of shoot. It's a bit insane to come to Cannes when you've been shooting, and just 2 days before I came to Cannes I stopped shooting, and as soon as I go the day after I start shooting again. So half the time I'm on my computer here answering questions of my assistant saying, which car should we take, this car, is this casting okay, so various things are happening. But the reason I came, because especially with Firaaq, my first film, you put in so much of your heart and soul into a film, and then if it doesn't reach the audiences, then what's the point? So distribution, marketing has become very, very crucial and important, and that's why I've come here to create that buzz, to garner some support for the film. And I do think that Manto is a film, what it's trying to say, can cross borders, can cross markets. This whole thing of, is it commercial, is it independent, is it for Indian audience, is it for outside audience, it's for everyone who cares about the world. So I think that's why I'm here. We are very fortunate to have HP Studios, HP's Hewlett Packard. They for the first time are investing in a film. So, and they have been amazing. They are one of the official sponsors of Cannes. So thanks to them, we are getting a lovely space at the Majestic Hotel, which is one of the best hotels here, and we are being able to call many industry people and media and friends of cinema who are going to come and watch. So I've brought in 3 minutes of footage.
What does that footage have? Tell us. You also have Nawazuddin.
Yes,
the cast also.
In fact, Nawaz and Rasika are going to come here. So 3 of us are going to sort of do our bit for the film. So the 3-minute footage has sort of a compilation to some interesting music that Sneha Khanwalkar, who's doing the music, we've put together. We haven't been able to take very big wide shots because that has some amount of VFX. There's a lot of modern day clutter in our cities. So to remove all the ACs, the wires, I think it's very tough to make a period film in the kind of budget that we are working with. So there are many challenges, but somehow Manto is making it happen.
Okay. Also, you've been a member of the jury over here, so you know well how this whole thing pans out, and we have the same question every year. For years now, we've been wondering why aren't our films coming here. So why should I not ask you this question once again this year?
I wish I had the answer. Well, last few years there have been, not in the main competition, but in other sections there have been quite a few films. This year there's only one student film that has come. I don't know. I mean, I think it's a bit of two things. One is we make 1,000 films, and quantity is not a reflection on quality. Maybe we need to sort of make better films. Two is that maybe we are, maybe because it's not like every film in Cannes is a great film. You know, it's a subjective thing, of course, but there are some films that probably can go to some of the big festivals and be showcased, but maybe they don't get enough support as to how do you even reach that stage, how do you go into that platform. You know, it's really tough because in India we don't have that kind of government support or any body that picks out, say, oh wow, there's a great Malayalam film or a Tamil film or a Bengali film or a Hindi film, that this is a film that we need to nurture because it truly is local and therefore global. You know, we are so busy trying to make sort of a film that will appeal to the global audience. You only know yourself, you can't think like other people. So you have to be true to what you believe in and do a film that is truly rooted in your context and has the thoughts that you care about. And then you have to believe that I'm not so unique. There are millions of other people who will probably connect with the film.
There's also this kind of feeling in Bollywood that we don't need to cater to this audience, which I suppose fair enough for them.
Yeah,
but on the other hand,
I think their reasons for making the films are also different, and it's not about catering.
Yeah.
Finally, one should make a film because you believe you want to tell something. It should compel you to want to tell. And the mainstream cinema is obviously, that's why it's called mainstream, because it is for a larger audience.
But there is mainstream cinema here as well, the opening films.
Absolutely, not only in Hollywood as well. What is Hollywood all about? But the mainstream can also stretch its definition. There are many films that are made out of Hollywood. There are many A-list actors who are also working in films that don't have the typical Hollywood trapping. And I think it's happening in India as well. There are a lot of young directors, I think, who are sort of less safe playing people, and they are kind of risking it more.
Do you think that there could be a certain bias? I mean, I'm making quite a strong accusation, as it were, but even within the festival, after all, everything is cultural, right? So the way films are perceived, despite the fact that these are very discerning film viewers who go and look for these festivals and so on, do you think that the cultural bias could be there, especially when it comes to mainstream cinema? Because we accept and take Hollywood for what it is, and that standard as mainstream is acceptable, but these other one, opera-like films and so on, they don't go
style. It is Bollywood is a very unique style. I think more and more people are enjoying it, but do they want to see it as an everyday fare? I'm not so sure. So even at the Berlin Festival or a Shah Rukh or a Deepika, when they come, I think people love it. Not just the NRIs. I think there's a lot of intrigue and interest in our mainstream cinema where people split into a song and dance. Or the storyline, you don't need to really read the subtitles and you kind of figure out what it is. So there is an intrigue, and with Bahubali becoming so huge, I think there is a different kind of spotlight on India. Yeah. But when it's a festival, yes, there is an expectation of hearing stories that are truly what they think or what we think are more Indian in its, in what it's trying to tell.
Okay, one last question also, I'll bring you back to Manto. Why did you make this film, and what does it, what story does it tell when it talks about Manto? Is it really completely autobiographical, or what is it that and what was the source from which you drew the research?
So I had started reading Manto since I was in college, but mostly his stories. And it was only in 2012 when his centenary celebration was being it was in all the newspapers and magazines, 100 years of Manto's birth anniversary, and that is when a lot more started being written about him, and I started reading his essays. There was a book that came out called Why I Write, and by Akar Patel, who had translated it, and I started reading a lot more articles on him, and I thought, wow, his life is even more interesting. And that's why I've tried to do a film where we weave in his work with his life. It's almost like if you're making a film on Mozart, you can't not have his music in it, So I've tried to bring in his work and his life and tried to take a certain period in his life which I think was very interesting in his life and in the lives of the two countries, India and Pakistan. And also partition played such a huge role in the lives of the two countries, in Manto's life. And he was deeply impacted, and in fact whenever I've been to Harvard and Yale, during this period of research on Manto as well, I've gone to their libraries just to see is there anything on Manto, and I was shocked. At Yale they had about 30 books on Manto, and at Harvard they actually teach Manto. They teach Toba Tek Singh, even at Yale. So he was almost like a testimony of history. How many fiction writers are quoted as part of facts? So he was such a reflection on the reality of that time. and in some crazy way it's completely timeless, because he talks about common people, he talks about emotions that anywhere in the world you can relate to, you know. So he talks about human suffering, he talks about sex workers that nobody was talking about, he talks about people on the margins of society, we still prefer to keep them in the margins. So I think my own interests in things that are around me, my own socio-political interests in life and people, kind of completely connected, and I think सब में मंटोयत है. It's about pushing that mantoness in yourself and saying, okay, do I feel somewhere part of that thought process, that legacy? And if you feel it, you just want to tell the story.
So on that note, let me actually also, before you leave, say that I was talking to a lot of people here at the India Pavilion, and I said, who is the Indian who people associate over here, like who's the most recognizable Indian face? Is it Aishwarya Rai? Is it Sonam? Because they've been coming here for years. And a lot of people said that it's Nandita Das, and especially the French, because they said that you're always dressed Indian, and that makes a difference. So
well, I don't dress it for the French people or for Cannes. I mean, any formal occasion. I just think we have such beautiful saris woven by such lovely, you know, amazing nameless, faceless weavers. And I just sort of look for excuses to wear them.
Also, there are tons of people wearing, you know, dresses and gowns.
Yeah,
but
I'm
how
not
many?
trying to defy anything. I'm not trying to be different.
But by default, you stand out anyway.
I guess so.
Thank you so much, Nandita, for talking
Thank
to
you.
NDTV.
Thank
Thanks.
you.